All right, guys, welcome back to the stream. So I left you guys, and I was like, it's consolidating, and it was consolidating, and it continued to consolidate. But it looks like we have a little bit of action going on that I can talk about. So we're gonna get right into that. Um, but technically, we're gonna call that as we called it because it was consolidating, and then. All right. So this is essentially where I left you guys off. We have a green dot. We have a confirmation green dot. What's this on the 3 hour? That's not bad. Let's see. This looks like the Fibonacci that we were looking at earlier. I'm gonna take that. Oh, this is the macro Fibonacci. We can keep that on. I'm gonna go to a fib based trend based fib. So we're gonna go here, trend based. Yeah, we're gonna get this one. Select, and then essentially what we're looking for right now. Zoom in. So we have this pump. Oh, well, essentially, like if we're looking at the dump, let's look at the dump first. So essentially from right here to right here to right here. Okay, so usually what I do is I just put it right there so I can measure it perfectly, get some precision, and then I come up top and I measure like this. Okay, and as you can see, Bitcoin is broken through. How did I do it on my phone? I did it perfectly. I'm trading this on Bybit, and we are making good gains. We're up. How's my trade doing? Like, I mean, like it's nothing to brag about. Like, it's just a small little trade, but I mean, we're working with it. We're doing good. We've always been consistently profitable on this channel, 100% gains. But then on my other social media, I've traded over 300,000. At this point, I think it's 360 something thousand in profits. So I have a very good track record. All right, let's see. So I swing. Yeah, this is what I measured. It just looks weird on here. So essentially, what we're looking at when we look at the reverse base fibs is essentially. Is this the reverse space? Yeah, this isn't the reverse space. I already know that I didn't do this right. Yeah, I can just tell. I can just take one look at it. I've been in the chart so long. Because we want the fib to be. That's what it was. I knew something was off. Is this the right? Is this extended base? Yeah, yeah. I guess that's right, but it didn't draw right. All right, so you go from right here, draw it like this. Oh, we also need to get that wick. Did it seriously wick down there? That's insane. Alright, is that it? Yeah, this is it. Okay. So when we look at this retracement, essentially from right here to right here, essentially if you're a shorter and you're basically like, is this, should we continue to short or is the trend reversing? If essentially what you would do is you would use a reverse Fibonacci tool. Essentially, if this was like a blow off top and it was a bullish scenario, we would use Fibonacci retracement because it's a bearish, essentially blow off top, but really it's a bottom. But inverse, it's the exact same thing. Like the exact inverse of a blow off top is finding a bottom, and so we use the trend-based Fibonacci retracement tool. And so golden pockets down here, it's the exact flipped. And basically you look at the golden pocket and you say, is that going to hold? If that's going to hold, then they might just be taking profits and then we might move down lower. If there's a lot of, uncertainty in the market, we might hit this as a support, then move lower, we might hit this as a support. But after we break this 0.382 level right here, this essentially textbook. This is 98% of this correction essentially. And once we move past 98% up to this level right here, we can basically, in the short term, we can basically say that the trend has changed. And yes, we came down here. This could potentially be, whatever, but because we broke this level right here, and then this level, some people would consider like an accumulation area if, there's a lot of FUD and there's a lot of volatility and the Bulls and the Bears are fighting, it could rally up to this level. So the fact that it even broke past this level right here, it's just massive that we're in where we're at right now. And essentially, according to this Fibonacci retracement area in the short term, this is on the 3-hour chart, but this could be applied to like I mean, I have this on the 12-hour that I'm looking at right now. When I have it on Coinbase, I have it pulled up right here. This is one of the first things I was looking at. I actually closed a little bit of my position. We actually had $1,000 position that was doing really well, and I just took a little bit of profits off just because we were a little bit uncertain right here, and I wanted to make sure we were doing good. But essentially, we're still looking at the same ideas. Right now, we want to see, is this, from the consolidation pattern, is this going to hit? Is this essentially, it's looking like it's getting overextended, and it's more so that we're just in an uptrend right here. And so we can draw some consolidation lines, according to that. And it looks like this uptrend has been broken or potentially broken, and we've kind of wicked down a little bit. But what we can do is these fib tools are everything. Like Fibonacci retracement in crypto is absolutely massive. And the more you get into the space, the more you learn how much like different tools used for different things. But when we're looking at stuff like this in the immediate short term to find reversals and such, okay, so basically we're at the cusp of another central reversal. So basically, this showed us that we had the potential to reverse out of this trend, and then in the immediate short term, it looks like we're either going to be consolidating, or if we break lower towards this level right here and break that level, essentially, right? Let me see. Yeah, essentially, if we break this level, we're gonna start heading, at least in a consolidation, and there's no real definitive trend, if that makes sense. Essentially, because we got up this high, we did have an uptrend starting, and we did have a reversal of this downward movement idea. But because um, essentially we had this top right here and we came down, essentially, we're basically right back where we started. Basically, consolidation, and that's supported by the volume. I mean, look at the volume right here, it's trending down lower. So, I mean, these two, this fib level, this volume indicator, they're both saying the same thing. But essentially, we want to, if we break this level right here, if we break the 0.238 at 32,492, we're going down, it looks like. And then this, it just depends on how the market wants to interpret, but this inverse head and shoulders could still be in play. But we'll see. It might be a little overextended. Some of these sloppier patterns, they'll tend to work out. All right, what else do we have? So let's go to Market Cipher, see what Market Cipher is saying. Let's decipher these markets. All right, you got this. Got this. Got this. You got this. Alrighty. I like the colors. If anything, I like the rainbow, upbeat colors. Like that's my favorite part. Alright. Let's see. Let's go to the 4-hour. Somebody was just having me look at the 3-hour. They wanted to know my opinion on Bitcoin in the next 3 hours. I think I said consolidation, and we did consolidate, so freaking solid. Especially in a volatile market like this. The fact that we haven't really done anything, because essentially what we were looking for as technical, the big moves that are really going to move the market is if we were going to retest this top of the consolidation triangle, or if we were going to potentially break some of these wicks and move lower. And we did neither of those. So I mean, we really just did consolidate. All right. So I guess essentially we're looking at this right here. Let's see. Yeah, I'm looking for divergence. Alright. So I like this a lot, but I want to see more of a clip on the blue wave. It looks like on the 4 hour we're getting a bottom. This is looking good. I want to see another wave come up, and then I want to see it come back down and basically solidify that bull momentum divergence, bullish divergence on these oscillators. Let's see. It's a 4 hour. We'll go to 6 hour. We'll start slow, work our way up. I didn't really want to make a video this late, but like Bitcoin honestly has not been doing that much. Alright, so yeah, we're consolidating. We really need to stop consolidating if you want to see a move higher. We need to get this red right here. We need it to come in more like, yeah, just what happened. Yeah, that's good. We need to see more of that. And then it looks like this is starting to come up more. We want to see this ice off just a little bit more, but it's looking good. We want to see again that money cash flow coming green. Right now we got yellow, which is not bad. This is not bad. It's basically, I mean, this shows me right now in the short term we're looking good. Do we still have, and then, I mean, that's not looking good on these higher time frames. Like, this is not looking good. This right here. So you have a low, and then you have a lower low. That's not good. We need to negate that idea. We need to print some new oscillators to negate that idea. But we just don't have that yet. And so, like, is looking good? Yes, but let's see, on the 4 hour, it's probably the same thing. Yeah, we have this hump right here, but then look at that. That's bearish right there. You have a low, and this is a lower low. We want to see a high, and then a lower high right here on the oscillator. This would essentially be an anchor wave, and then that would be a trigger wave, and that would basically, that right there, like a lot of people are like, no, it's the bottom, it's definitely the bottom, like there's no, listen guys, I get it, I get where you're coming from, but be patient, because one of these days, whether it's tomorrow, whether it's 3 days from now, we are going to see some massive green dots line up. We're going to have like a green dot, another green dot, and then we're going to have an actual green dot like you see right here, which is going to say to long it. And once everything lines up in the stars, once all the technical analysis is in a lineup, maybe we're right here, maybe we're right here, maybe we're right here. But we have this measured move right here off this consolidation pattern. Just in and of itself, off this consolidation pattern alone, the measured move is all the way at 53,000. So I promise you, right now, that's like almost like double the price action we're at right now. So I promise you guys, we have time to build out a long position. We have time to figure out where we want to enter in. Again, when you're longing this thing, you know, you can gamble. You can listen to other channels and gamble. You can listen to other channels and say, oh, well, maybe like it's a good chance that, well, that's just, educated gambling. Really, on this channel, we're going to come in from a position of power. All the technicals are going to line up. Green dot, green dot, green dot. Everything looks fundamentally good when that is the case. And we're going to long from a position of power, and then we're going to build out a massive position and take massive gains. And I would rather have that be the case than us build out some small positions and just go negative if this thing flips, because on some of the higher time frames, like a lot of this stuff is, these ideas are not looking good. Like look at the RSI in the 4 hour, that's not good. And it looks like, low or high and then lower high right here, RSI. So I mean, I just gotta tell you guys how it is. Like, you can go listen to other channels, and other channels can tell you, oh, Bitcoin's going to 1 million tomorrow. It's not fundamentally possible. So if you're scared and you're like, did I miss the boat? Is it going to 1 million already? No, it's not going to 1 million tomorrow. BlackRock doesn't even have the ability to put money in yet. They only have the abilities to trade futures. So, yeah, it's just not really possible. Like I said, we already talked about it for fun. It's like if Bill Gates, because this market, is worth about a little over 400 billion right now, and so essentially you'd have to have Bill Gates and like Jeff Bezos both put their entire net worth into Bitcoin, but the problem with that is that they don't actually have, 200 billion each. I don't know their exact net worth, but I don't even know if it's 200 billion. Maybe it is now, but regardless, most of that money is tied down into their companies, and they would have to put everything into Bitcoin, and most of that's tied down into their companies. And so, I mean, who's gonna buy freaking Microsoft? Nobody's really got the cash. I mean, maybe the Knights Templar has the cash in gold, but they're off the books. So, um, the idea is looking decent. This is looking a lot better than last night. This is looking a lot better than last night. But what I'm saying is nobody has the liquid capital to even put into freaking, unless every single billionaire like met up secretly tonight. Like every single billionaire met up secretly tonight and was like, all right, guys, tomorrow we're all gonna put our money into Bitcoin. I don't think that's gonna happen tonight. Maybe it'll happen tomorrow night. It's not happening tonight. Bitcoin's not going to a million tomorrow. It's just not really fundamentally possible. Alright, but this is looking good on the 12-hour. This is what I like to see. Maybe a little more curvature down, and then, we can start talking about this is the bottom, but we just, on the 12-hour, it's looking good. That's all I can really say. I mean, like, look at this trigger wave. Like, yeah, look at this. And then you have this essentially being the trigger wave, and that's just not it. That's just not it, boys. This is bearish idea. We want to see this come down. We want to see a new wave. We want to see it go lower. Then we have a high and a lower high. We are good to go. Probably stars align. We get like one of these green dots. I don't see any. These are all green squares. Green dots are a lot rare. We see a red circle. You know what I'm saying? We see a red circle. This is saying short the thing. Okay, so that's what it's saying on the 12 hours. So I mean, it's saying short the thing on the 12 hours. So I mean, is it really the bottom? Alright. It could be. I can't really go off of my opinion, so I have to look at the graphs, the charts. I'm not gonna sit here and just freaking use my crystal ball. Doji on the 1 hour. This basically just shows indecision. Basically, the market doesn't even really know. Because, like, I mean, really, until we break with these lines again, and until especially we break this line right here, which is critical, or we start to test this area, it looks like we're just consolidating. It's looking a little bit better, but again, like on the daily, we've been having this issue. We want to see the money return. We want to see this trend reverse. That's the biggest thing, especially on the daily. And I'd like to see a little bit of that white get a little bit shorter. And maybe if we get dark blue on here, like right towards where the white is, if that white goes into dark blue on the daily, that's not bad. Alright, let's see. So this isn't entirely decent on the weekly. I mean, this is not good. This is okay, but it's essentially, this is just a lagging indicator, if anything, on the weekly. Like, yeah, it's coming up, but not on the daily. And then look at this. We still have that red. See, this is like the problem with calling the bottom at that level right there. I mean, look at the weekly. Look at this dark blue that we have right here on the weekly. This is essentially calling it top. On the weekly, this is calling it top on the weekly. Red dot saying short it on the weekly. So on the higher time frames, it's not looking too good. Okay, so I mean, it's looking better than it was a few days ago, and I'm not saying that this isn't potentially the bottom, but again, if we're going to be longing this, we want it from a position of power. Alright, let me see. Any comments? Hey, Zach. Use your crystal ball. What's up, bro? Good to see you. If you're looking at the charts, if you're interested in what's going on, I bought a little bit of Ethereum earlier today. It's looking good. I don't even remember what I bought Ethereum at, but Ethereum in the long, like I was just telling somebody, somebody actually just took me out to dinner earlier, and I was just because he wanted to know, he knew I was in crypto, and he wanted to know about my crypto, and I said, listen, like he was like talking to me, but like this is so funny. This was so funny, and just because we're kind of consolidating, I'm gonna go to this lower time frames and tell this story real quick. So we were in the car, and he leans over to me, and I was talking to him about crypto, and I was talking to him about like all the different stuff I've done in the last few months, getting really involved with it. Like I said, I put a lot of money in, around 11,000. And I was telling him about that, and he starts thinking to himself. And then, he kind of like looks down, and then he looks over at me, and he's like, "Man," and he says it like what, like do you like what are some like altcoins? Because I was talking to him about altcoins, and he's like, "What are some altcoins that you like look at and they're like really low?" Like they're like really low in market capitalization, and you think they're gonna go really high up. And he was like, he wanted to get into like he wanted something that was like pennies, like as far as the token goes. Like he's like, I want something that's like a penny. Like he didn't say that, but that's like what he was like inferring. He's like, I want something like really cheap coin and he's like that you think is gonna go up really high. That's what he told me. And I said, hey, I said like these different coins, like they have different market caps, and they have different but more so they have different amounts of tokens in each token. So don't get tripped up on like the price of the coin, because that doesn't mean a lot. Like Ethereum would be worth a lot more if there was only 21 million Ethereum ever to be in existence, but there's a lot more of it, so Ethereum costs less. Whereas XRP, it would be a lot higher in evaluation if it had less coins, but there's just so many XRP. Same with Cardano. So I said, don't get caught up on that, and I said, like, listen, like if you want my opinion, Ethereum's about to go parabolic. So parabolic is an actual technical term, where you have a parabolic slope. Let me see if I can find parabolic slope on here. But essentially, when you have a parabolic slope, essentially you have what happened with Bitcoin. Bitcoin, like 3 or 4 months ago, was like 11,000. Um, and then it went on a parabolic run, literally parabolic, and it looks like this. That's what a parabolic run looks like. And it went all the way up to 30,000 on a parabolic run, and we saw 100% returns a month on Bitcoin. Ethereum is running up, looking like it's about to hit a parabolic run. Let me see if I can find. Oh, you got a little head and shoulders thing right here, and then we can use Elliott wave. Let me see. So that's the thing. Like, yes, like you should like a lot of people right now are looking for like the low cap gems. Like they're looking for those like really cheap, really undervalued cryptocurrencies. And like I've told you guys multiple times on the channel, I have to tell you again. Um, it's you guys have to understand the way the market works. It doesn't matter. I have some altcoin gems. Like I have some low cap gems that have been. I think we just 2x'd one of my gems that I hold, and like they're cool, and like you can find some cryptos that have like a $5 million market cap, which they should be $100 million market cap. Like you can find that. That's fine, but they're not gonna pump right now because they're lower cap, and the market's not concerned about those right now. Really, we're not really that deep in, relatively speaking, into altcoin season. And so my point is this. You can find things that are better, have more potential than Ethereum potentially, but Ethereum is so ridiculously undervalued. And just the fact that if Bitcoin continues to move up, Bitcoin's correlated with Ethereum, and Bitcoin like just reached its all-time high. It doubled it. Ethereum, it just broke its all-time high. So for Ethereum to catch up to Bitcoin and be correlated like it is, it would have to double in price, which would be 100% move for Ethereum. And then usually Ethereum outperforms Bitcoin historically. And so if that was the case, but Ethereum's about to go parabolic. It's about to go, so it doesn't matter, you might be looking for like some altcoin gems, but those are risky. Sometimes those are like startup companies. And startup companies can go under, and it's no different in the cryptocurrency space. And a lot of those low cappers, they can be scams. So the nice thing about Ethereum is you have literally number two cryptocurrency with unlimited amount of potential. And like I called Cardano. I didn't think Cardano was gonna pop off as fast and as hard as it did. I think it's up like 22% today, but I mean, we called Cardano on the channel a while ago, and it's just been killing it. Like, all my altcoin picks have been absolutely murking it. I probably have one of the best, like, maybe not like money wise, like, I'm sure there's people that have more money than me in these. But as far as picks for ROIs, I probably have one of the best portfolios in crypto. I picked Polkadot, I picked VeChain, I picked um, ADA. I picked Cardano, which is ADA. I picked Chainlink, and like, man, like, there's nothing killing these markets more than these large caps. And I'm not saying that like I'm smarter than anybody else or that I'm working harder than anybody else. You just gotta understand the market. And I killed XRP. I hit a freaking. Let me see if I can pull up on my phone. I hit a like 100 something. I think I hit like 150% long on 150% long on XRP. So not only did I hit XRP on that 75% move up, I also longed it on like 2x leverage and freaking made 150 or something like that. Let me see if I can find it in my gallery. But so like my portfolio, I mean, we've just absolutely murked. Like there are very few people in the entire space that can say that we have gains like and so but like my point is this, the only reason that that's the case is because because I'm not getting like emotionally like a lot of people fall into a lot of pitfalls with altcoins. If any of your altcoins are not going to outperform Bitcoin, then you have absolutely no reason to hold them. Okay, so unless like your project is really strong, like I'm talking like Chainlink strong, I'm talking about like Ethereum, Polkadot, Cardano, um, VeChain, like I don't know if I can find it. That was so long ago, but I mean I had Yearn Finance when it went up like 100 and or it went up 40% in one day. Like I've had so many coins like that, and I'm sure other people have too. That's fine, but like I haven't seen very many people that have had as consistent. What's this? This is up 80%, 88% in one day. This is up 88% in one day. But like you just gotta know, like don't be putting your money into small caps right now when all like when the if the mid caps haven't even started pumping yet. Why would you put your money into small caps? It just doesn't make sense. I mean, unless there's some legendary small cap where you're like, okay, I'm gonna hold my money in here for like, freaking, a month or two. Like seriously, like it's just best if you put your money where everybody else is putting their money, because then you're gonna, hit the compound interest on that. So right now, everybody's putting their money into Ethereum most likely, and everybody's, buying back into Bitcoin. So putting a small amount into Bitcoin, putting in some into Ethereum, do whatever you want. I'm not a financial advisor, but I'm a crypto guy, and I've had an extremely good track record this year. Let's see. So what I would do is, put your money into where everybody else is putting their money. You might be putting your money into this small cap that is I'm not disagreeing with you. It might be a legendary small cap. Trust me, I have legendary small caps on my portfolio right now where I'm like, these are absolutely legendary. I have to allocate like a ever so slightly small amount of my portfolio to hold down this position because it's so good. Yeah, I get you. But like if you're talking about the bulk of your money, and unless you're investing like less, if you're investing like less than like 10,000, then you probably shouldn't even be focused on that right now. Bitcoin, Ethereum, like oh, you want to exponentialize your wealth, you want to, or not really your wealth, that wouldn't be wealth, that'd be like you're trying to make it rich, you're trying to hit that 100x altcoin. Trust me, we'll get there. We're just not there yet. So, Bitcoin, Ethereum, let these larger caps cool off. Let's see how Polkadot's doing. I told you guys the top of Polkadot too. So like not only do I call the bottoms of a lot of these coins, I also call the tops. And then I said, you know what? It's decent to get back into Polkadot. It's cooled off. But at the same time, the other thing is, a lot of people get into this trap where they get like Polkadot's up, freaking, it's up a lot today and on the week. So I called the bottom, I called the top, and when it retraced, I called the bottom again, and now we're rallying higher on Polkadot. I'm not a wizard, like it's just common sense, like, and you don't need to be the smartest person in the market to understand this stuff. You just need to understand the market because that's where everybody's going to be putting all their money. Does that make sense? Like you don't need to be smarter than everybody else and think to yourself, "Oh, what's the next biggest altcoin?" Nobody's gonna, if you're really that smart, nobody else, if you're like the smartest guy and you're really doing a lot of research and nobody else is, how's the money gonna get in there? You know what I'm saying? Like, how's the money gonna get into those smaller altcoins that are like legendary that maybe you're looking at or that you're thinking about getting into? How is everybody else gonna find those? Everybody else is focused on Polkadot. Everybody else is focused on Ethereum. That's where the money is gonna be. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, just, join the herd mentality on this. Everybody's about to dump a bunch of money into Ethereum. Go with them. Do I think uh, ADA is a better project? Heck yeah. Maybe it's a little bit overvalued today. Like, I looked at ADA and, like, I have a lot of money in ADA. I was just like, what the? It was like, I think like, earlier it was up like 20%. And I was just like, that's just funny money right there when you see my position size. Some of these things you make. Let me see if you guys have questions. What what do you think about some people saying Bitcoin is a gamble? Yeah, so I was actually talking to my friend in the car and he's like, he's like imagine you would have got in. He's like imagine you would have got in like in 2013. And I said, "Yeah, I mean, if you would have got in at 2013, you would have made 9 million%. Literally, you could have put a dollar into Bitcoin. Um, you could have put a dollar into Bitcoin in 2013, like, when it was starting up, and you would have made 1 million%." And he said, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, but um, here's the thing about that. Nobody knew, the potential of it. There was no market development. So, like, a lot of things that you have to price into Bitcoin because a lot of people say there's no intrinsic value in Bitcoin. And this is kind of the whole argument behind is Bitcoin a gamble? What's the percentage? So, Bitcoin has a lot of potential investors with the 2021 ETF that's coming out. So there's a stock market ETF, which a lot of conservative investors are looking at allocating a small amount of their portfolio into this ETF, basically so that they can get in and out of capital quickly. And, this appeals to a lot of investors. And so that you have to factor into the price of Bitcoin. You just have to factor it in. And then another thing you have to factor in, like when I was telling everybody, I told people at 11,500 to put their entire life savings into it, and I was 100% convicted that we were going to 100,000. And why was I like that? Why did I think the intrinsic value, and why did I think and we had a lot of institutional support. So back then we had institutions really backing Bitcoin. So that's another reason why Bitcoin isn't as much of a gamble. And I'm really painting an entire picture because all things considered, is Bitcoin a gamble? Well, I mean, if you know how to do the technical analysis like this, and if you know, good entry prices, pullbacks, different things, and you understand the risk and reward. Essentially, I don't think you're gambling. I think you're being an intelligent investor, but I'm getting to that. So essentially, like going on that idea on that route, essentially Bitcoin is an asset, essentially, because I mean you could sell it for money. So I mean, if people call cash an asset, if people call a car an asset, as far as who would call those things an asset, an accountant would call those an asset. People in the finance community, they see an asset as something that appreciates in value over time, and Bitcoin has done that historically. But regardless, Bitcoin technically is an asset, and when you label an asset, you have high risk, high reward assets, and I think Bitcoin falls into that category. Not necessarily, it wouldn't really necessarily. I mean, if you do your research, if you understand what you're investing into, I wouldn't say that Bitcoin is a gamble. I would say that it's an extremely high risk, extremely high reward asset on paper. Now, if you really study Bitcoin, um, and you look at the fundamentals behind inflation, not just, the money printing with the Fed, like, you know, um, it's not even really money printing, we're basically borrowing money from IOUs from the government with the treasury bond stuff. And it's a lot of bookwork on the balance sheet of the Fed, but the bigger thing that you have to worry about is that we have zero fractional reserves, and essentially, like, banks don't have to have reserves anymore. They can lend out literally as much money as they want, um, with no reserves. They have to follow, accreditation. Like, people have to be accredited to receive that credit. Like, people don't really know, like, the fundamentals of, like, the economy. So, like, when you receive credit, that's because you're credible, and what you're receiving is credit, which is debt, which is, dollars, which I'm not going to get too much into. But just really quickly, this right here, this is legal tender for all debts, public and private. So what that means is essentially this is not a dollar. Dollar bills used to be backed by gold. They had intrinsic value. And this all applies to Bitcoin. So I'll talk about it for a second. Essentially, this is a paper note. It says it right here that it's a Federal Reserve note. It says right here. So this is not a dollar bill. It's a Federal Reserve note, first off. Number two is it says on it says exactly what it is. Because there's two types of camps. There's the economists, which say, oh, this is an asset. And, there's the educational space that says, oh, this is, an asset. And, oh, this is, what do they say? They say, oh, this is like, good or whatever. And then you have like the, like, conspiracy theorists, you have like the big investors, you have like a lot of different educated people that say no, that this is worthless, that this is not backed by gold, so it doesn't really have any money. It's paper, it's valueless. They keep printing more of it. And both of those ideologies are wrong. This is a note. This is legal tender. This note is legal tender. So what that means is essentially this is intrinsic value is being backed by the government. Essentially, the Marines are backing up this dollar. The Marines are backing up this dollar, basically saying, to other countries, if you don't back this up, if you don't keep Bretton Woods Agreement, you're getting the armed forces coming knocking at your door. So this does have value. It's not valueless. It's backed by the United States government. That's what this notice legal tender means. And it says for all debts, public and private. So that part is really important too. So this is a credit. This is a credit. This isn't a dollar bill. This is a credit or a Federal Reserve note to credit $1 worth of debt. And it gets a lot more complicated than that. But essentially, people are trying to hedge against this credit because if you look at the DXY, basically it's poised to, in the long term, it's poised to go down in buying power, essentially. Or really, buying power isn't the right word, but the ability to pay off debts. Basically, debts are going to get bigger, and it's going to take a lot more money to pay them off. And you kind of see that with a lot of our tax money, a lot of people don't know that interest rates were actually created the same year as the Federal Reserve. It was 1913, and they were created to pay off the debts from the Federal Reserve. And a lot